Ready? I want them to hear the bell. Please remain seated. Thank you for coming today. My name is Colin Aldis. I am the past president of the Rotary Club. I'm standing in for Chris Colby. Chris Colby, some of you may know, had knee surgery last week. Okay.
Hard to hear you, Colin.
Hard to hear me. All right, in this room. So we will, I'll speak up and we'll just, thanks, Fred. We'll do a check here of the sound. And so I'll improvise. I promise this is the last week I will wear my Halloween tie. My wife said to me this morning, I cannot believe you're wearing that tie again. Well, I can only wear it for a few weeks. And so today and tomorrow is the last day. So if you can you hear me? Actually, Fred, I can take my mask off and talk even louder. Another thing my wife says is she can hear me loud and clear. So we will continue. The four-way test today, Jen Woodford, and she is giving that to us virtually, and I hope the virtual audience can hear me.
Hello, welcome
Hello.
everyone. Elizabeth is sharing. Please join me in the four-way test. First of all the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Does that make a difference if I really speak like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes a great difference.
All right. I'm going to. I am going to adjust my mic so the audience in this room can hear me. Great. Bob Mueller is here today, and he is going to come to the podium and lean over into the mic and give us a reflection. Just careful you don't trip on anything.
Well, in September, can you hear me? In September, the Salvation Army rolled out its campaign theme for this year's fundraising season. It's called Rescue Christmas. Because of COVID, the need is greater, and because of COVID, the red kettles are fewer. I wanted to show you today the PSA, but this reflection isn't about the Salvation Army. It's about Rotary. Currently, my wife and I are working on plans to rescue Thanksgiving. How are we going to serve hot Thanksgiving meals to our neighbors in need in a way that is both safe and dignified? But this reflection isn't about the Salvation Army, it's about Rotary. It seems as though everyone is trying to rescue something these days. As the board of director of this club, I sometimes feel we're trying to rescue Rotary. Membership is down, giving is down, and service opportunities are down. So how do we rescue Rotary? The most recent edition of the Rotary magazine republished an article entitled Table for 5,000. I don't know if you read it or not, but it tells the story of how a group of Rotarian wives mobilized a soup relief kitchen to feed desperate people in South Bend, Indiana during the Depression. The heading of the story reads, Rotarians, when confronted by crisis, conjure an uncanny ability to adapt, assist, and inspire. How do we rescue Rotary? We don't give up. We don't quit. We don't stop giving. Instead, we adapt, we assist, and we inspire. Anything short of that does not align with the spirit of Rotary. You see, Rotary opens opportunities, even during a crisis. The last line of this article, republished from 1933, reads, It simply requires a little imagination and some good effort in a good cause. Let's remember and reflect on that. Blessings to you.
Bob, thank you very much. I actually also bought a copy of the Rotarian magazine. When I was the president, I often featured Rotarians in the news. This is the National Rotary International magazine for the United States. And this article on page 14 talked about good nutrition and health care before a child's second birthday. And I'll just read this, just one sentence. The impact of malnutrition on brain development is critical in those first 2 years of a child's life. That's when massive brain development occurs, says Joanne Rosner. And I'm pointing this out. Joanne Rosner is a member of the Risers, a former president of Rotary. She was here a couple of weeks ago. She is highlighted in the magazine. A member of the Rotary Club of Rochester, Risers of Minnesota, which is working with the Mayor Health Alliance on an ambitious long-term grant project to improve nutrition for 140 Guatemala families. And Joanne, again, has physically traveled to Guatemala and has presented once or twice. So it's kind of cool to see one of our own folks right here in the Rotary magazine. Also in the news this week, and I see Mark Kochever is not here, so I'm giving a plug for Plugged In. And on the back of that is our three Rotarians, actually Chris Kobe, Dave Mortel, and Mark Kochever, as we presented a Paul Harris Fellow Award. So again, nice to see Rotarians in the news. We do want to welcome all of our guests and speakers today. We will officially introduce Mary Berge a little bit later on in the program. Are there any Rotarians? I don't see any visitors in this room. We're going to talk about an induction in just a minute, but we'll ask Lauren to come up then. How about by Zoom? Do we have any guests by Zoom? And I'm going to have to look at Elizabeth and ask her, because all I can see on this screen is me, and actually Jen Woodford.
I don't think so.
Yeah, Deb Christensen is also here, and Deb is going to come out in just a couple of minutes. A reminder that we continue to collect bottled water for community members using the day center. You may drop them off at any midday meeting here at the Golf and Country Club, or you can contribute funds to purchase water. My question was, if we're contributing funds or writing a check, who might we write a check to? The club, the Rochester Club of the Rotary Club of Rochester. Rotary next week is first day of the month, or first Thursday of the new month. We will meet at Centerstone's Plaza Magnolia Room from 5:30 to 6:30. We have called this Rotary Casual or Rotary After Hours. And that host, or the hostess is here, oh, I shouldn't say the host, the hostess of Centerstone, Christine, is here today. We continued for her, I want to thank her for her continued support. Register online via the calendar link to join a limited group of 13 with social distancing in that room. This event, attendees are encouraged to purchase food and beverage as takeout from Twiggs Tavern, just 25 yards across the aisle. Phenomenal food. If you want those items, there will be no wait service in the room we're meeting in next Thursday, 5:30 to 6:30. And I see Fred has his hat on, so that must mean bell ringing. And is Fred, are you coming up here? Actually, you need to talk to our virtual audience. Just watch, there's a cord right there.
All right.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite times of the year because I get to wear this hat. Seriously, as the major mentioned earlier, the Salvation Army and other social service organizations in this community are facing, increased needs and decreased resources. Hopefully, the Rotary Club will step up to the plate and fill those slots on the Saturdays we have starting November 14th for bell ringing. It's indoors. We're going to practice some form of social distancing. We're going to have gloves. We're going to have masks. We're going to have wipes to wipe down the kettles and things of that sort so that there'll be a sanitary situation. So I hope that folks won't let the fact that we have a pandemic going on keep you from at least contributing some time on this. And I guess you can sign up online. If you're here in the building, you can sign up. We have the sign up sheets out in front. So I look forward to ringing bells. I'm going to be ringing bells every Saturday for those 6 weeks we're involved. And I encourage the rest of you to do so also. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. And as I came in today, I did see the sign-up sheets and there was a number of spots. That's great. Personally, I will sign up. I just can't sign up for ringing bells until we get past Halloween and there's some snow on the ground. And you've heard me say this before, the coldest 2 hours of my life was ringing bells at the South Walmart outside about 5 years ago. And my wife said to me, don't ever ask me to do that again. But now that we have moved inside, Pat has joined me for the last 4 years. And so we are looking forward to doing that. So thanks, Fred. Rotary Risers, I think I did see Deb walk in. So Deb, you will have to come up to the podium, please. That was a cord, right?
Yep, you bet. Okay, well, thanks for inviting me. We're
I'm gonna do that.
sure about a foot. No, Rotary Risers. We have our calendar raffle, and it's our big money raiser. If you remember, years ago we used to sell wine, and they have stopped that, and it's running calendar year January 1 until the end of December. They're $20 a ticket. It's our biggest expense, I guess, now is the My Book Day that we have in May, and hopefully we'll have it this year. And we help fund some grants and that kind of stuff. If you purchase a ticket, if you win, they don't just throw your ticket away, they throw it back in the pot, and you can win multiple times. And there are bigger payouts on the 4th of July or Christmas Day or tax day or that kind of stuff. So you'll have many chances to win any money back, and would appreciate your support. I'll be out in the lobby afterwards. So thanks.
Thanks, Deb, and I've already purchased my ticket. Somebody else hit me up. Somebody else hit me up for that. Thank you so much. We have a short video around the district, a message from District 5960 leadership, and we are going to hopefully play that video. Woo, we are going to play that video. Great.
Greetings, District 5960 Rotarians, and welcome to the November edition of Around the District. This is Ed Merrick, and joining me are Kenny Closter, serving as your District Governor-elect, and Dale Quigley, your District Governor nominee. And tonight we also have a special guest this month, past District Governor and District Rotary Foundation team leader, Kyle Hagen. There's some exciting things happening this month, so let's get started. Dale, what have you got?
Ed, I have some exciting news. It's fall, even if it's been looking and feeling more like winter, and that means it's time for the One Rotary Summit. In the past, this has been a 3-hour event covering the Rotary pillars of membership, foundation, and public image. This year, we're shaking things up and doing it as 3 separate 1-hour virtual events. Each event will cover a single pillar. We'll be looking at new developments in Rotary, what's coming down the pike, new and exciting possibilities for you and your clubs. There will also be great ideas from some of our own clubs, and finally a step-by-step how-to. You'll be leaving with ideas that you can immediately put into action. So go ahead and put these event dates on your calendars. Thursday, November 5th, we will focus on membership. Monday, November 9th, it will be foundation, and Monday, November 16th, we will cover public image. All of the summits will begin at 4 p.m. with the program ending at 5 p.m. Watch for emails on the district website for registration information. Kyle, you're up.
Hey, thanks for having me, Dale. I'm excited that November is Rotary Foundation Month in the Rotary world, where we get to celebrate the impact we make because of our participation with the foundation. However, first, I'd like to look backwards and say thank you to all of you that have participated in our Strikeout Polio campaign this October. We've had a great response with exponential growth of activity from recent years and have raised nearly $25,000 for polio eradication through October 22nd. Factor in the Gates Foundation's 2-to-1 match, and that's about $75,000 so far. October isn't quite over, so if you'd like to get in the game, you still have time. Now, looking forward to Rotary Foundation Month, it's a great time to promote the great things we do to showcase our impact in communities and around the world. And keeping with the loose sports theme, I'd like to announce a new asset for our clubs and members. In our Rotary Foundation team structure, we've created a new role of Foundation Coach. These coaches will be working one-on-one with club leadership to provide resources and ideas to help increase member understanding of the foundation, which will lead to more giving and ultimately more impact with those dollars. Rotary Foundation Month is a great time to promote the foundation within your club, as it definitely helps us maximize our impact. And you can utilize that improved knowledge and passion for the foundation in February when we celebrate Rotary's birthday with our Share the Love campaign, focusing on contributions to the foundation's annual fund Share, which are the funds that come back to us for use in grants. So lots of exciting things happening in Rotary Foundation land. But thanks again for your commitment to helping end polio, and we look forward to doing more good together in the future. Kenny, over to you.
Thanks, Kyle. It is my pleasure to introduce you to the newest member of the District Governor team, Patricia McLeese. Patricia is a member of the Greater Rochester Club and served as their club president in 2018-19. She has also served as community service and membership chair and is currently program chair. In addition, she also serves on the 3 Rochester Rotary Club's joint team for tree planting, Ethics Day, and the Holiday Classic Basketball Showcase. Patricia was a member of the group cultural exchange team that traveled to Germany in 2018-19. At the district level, she is currently serving as the vocational service team leader, overseeing the ethics, literacy, and strive teams. The majority of her professional career was spent as an educator, elementary teacher, reading specialist, curriculum specialist, teacher trainer, assistant principal, and principal. We are excited to have Patricia join our team. Ed?
Thanks, Kenny. And thanks to all of you for joining us around the district. And watch for the emails and on the district website for your opportunity to sign up for the Run Rotary Summit trainings. Please feel free to contact us at dg@5960.link and tell us what your club is doing. See you all in December, and happy Thanksgiving.
And it's good to see another local Rotarian, Patricia McLeese. She has also been and has attended several of our meetings, and she handed me my shovel when we went to plant trees about a month ago. At this time, we have another great event. We have a new member induction with Lauren Anderson. Lauren is sponsored by Ashok Patel, who is not physically here, but may be here virtually. But I believe Mark Drips is going to physically come up with Lauren to the podium to give her a couple of items. Please come forward. And I think in a minute, after I've read off the official induction, we should have Lauren will be able to see partially who she is. Fellow Rotarians, it's my privilege to welcome a new member into our club, Lauren Anderson, sponsored by Ashok, and I see Ashok is here. Sponsor, will you please introduce our new member?
It's my privilege, President Collin, or past President Collin, to introduce Lauren Anderson. In the spirit of rescuing Rotary, I think it's good to open opportunities with the next generation, and Lauren is a rising star for health equity and more complex realm of global diplomacy and advocacy. She seeks to learn and contribute to our club's vision as a fully engaged Rotarian at multiple levels of service and storytelling, and hopefully she'll come back to share her vocational talk with us as we go forward. She has already shared part of her great experience of by being awarded a district grant through the Shark Tank Challenge, and also is writing up a global grant for a teleeducation project in Uganda. In addition to her Rotary heart and wisdom, she was serving as an official spy for a school for 6 months in her younger years and knows Rotary in the monthly meeting format. So I really hope we can introduce Lauren. She's got many talents, including experiences at the University of Minnesota Rochester, and Chancellor Laurie is on as well to vet for her. She's been a tutor for psychology and biology, is interested in public health, and wants to do a PhD as a part of her MD PhD next steps. She knows Michaela very well. If Michaela's also online, she can say a few words. And it's my honor to both confirm and hope and give humility to the style in which Lauren leads with grace, courage, creativity, and part of our Rotary family. So please warmly welcome Lauren Anderson to our club and our extended Rotary family. Mark, do you want to say a few extra words, and thanks for your help? Lauren, nice to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you, Dr. Patel. Asha, I'll get the first name thing.
Thanks, Asha. And now I can read the official. You have been invited into Rotary because you are clearly an outstanding person, as we've just heard from Asha, in your chosen walk of life. Thus, we welcome you into the membership in the Rotary Club of Rochester and in the Fellowship of Rotary International throughout the world. The responsibilities of membership have already been explained to you, and your fellow Rotarians expect you to honor the principles for which Rotary stands. The motto of Rotary is service above self, and we commit it to the personal care of each Rotarian so that it may be respected and allowed to grow among those with whom we come in contact with, distance contact with. As a token of your commitment to this ideal, let me present you with a Rotary lapel pin, which we ask you to wear, and a new member folder. We extend to you a warm welcome with the friendship of all of us. And at the end of the meeting, we have typically shaken hands, but we won't do that. We will bump elbows, and I will ask you and Mark at the end of this meeting to just walk to the store so we can bump elbows along. Let's welcome Lauren once again. And this is the theme today of psychologists or psychology. Dr. Mary Berge, a licensed clinical psychologist, was first introduced to Rotary in 2002 when she served as a group study exchange team member to Sweden. She has since served as a district governor in 2008 and 9, Zone 29 Rotary coordinator, training leader at the International Assembly in 2019 and 20, and she has been selected to serve as president's representative on 4 occasions. She's a frequent speaker and trainer around the Rotary world, including having been a panel speaker at the 2013 Rotary International Convention in Portugal, and a keynote speaker at the Women in Rotary Conference in Romania. Mary is currently serving as an aide to Rotary International Director Stephen Urshik, and she's a sergeant at arms for her home club, the Rotary of Johnstown. And of course, I had to Google that today, not knowing where Johnstown was, but it looks like it's east of Pittsburgh, and it has about 20,000 people that live there. So hopefully Mary is on the call, and Mary, it is over to you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure. Yes, I hear a lot of good things. Bob, who talked about being resilient and staying the course to save Rotary, how appropriate that is in these times. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about that as I proceed through my little keynote here. So But let me start by saying that you all are probably in the same boat as everyone else at this time. By now, you're probably a little fed up with COVID-19 information and the pandemic and politics and civil unrest and everything that is just stressing you out. So I want you to take this next 15 or 20 minutes and think of this as your virtual couch. You're in my office now. I'm your psychologist, and we're just going to de-stress you and take this next 20 minutes for whatever is stressing you out. Again, it could be politics, COVID-19, whatever your issues are. Hopefully, I'm going to be able to give you some tips today that will help you to feel better throughout the course of this next season. Winter is coming after all. So, all right. So usually when I get a new patient on my couch, I like to assess just how much information do they really have about their situation or the thing that is impacting them. Because typically information is power. But in the case of COVID-19 and politics, information has become the source of our stress. And it is actually overloading most people, causing anxiety, depression, and irritation. So my first tip of the day is to really begin to limit the amount of information that you allow into your environment, because that is a choice. Most of us, if you're like me, you have one of these things that stays on all day long and it's feeding you information throughout your day. The TV might be on in the background, or the news or the radio. But really, I only like to check the news about once or twice per day, regardless of the topic, because everything else in between is just chatter, especially social media and sensationalized news media. It's just noise. Quite frankly, it's just opinion. None of it is really fact anymore. So the less you can actually take in, the better you might actually feel, causing you to feel less anxious, less depressed. So less information is more. Now, my number one rule, or my golden rule for negative news media, is to never allow that into my environment past about 7:30 at night. And the reason is simple. When we go to sleep, I like to go to bed around 9:30. So when we go to sleep, we will have needed a couple of hours prior to sleep to really shake out all of the negative activity from our day and to process all of the information. And if we don't do that, our sleep can actually become very distorted, especially during what we call REM sleep, REM sleep. And that is the stage of sleep where you're dreaming. So if you allow negative news information into your psyche right before bed, guess what's going to get into your dreams and perhaps disrupt your sleep? All of that news, negative information. So I really do not allow any negative information into my psyche past about 7:30 at night. So that is a real golden rule for you to give it a try. Now, second tip is regarding routine. So routine is actually a predictor of personal well-being. And just like children, adults do so much better when they know what is expected of them. And that is especially true when we are under stress. So the lack of a routine can actually make you feel more lethargic and doubtful at the end of your day. So it's really important that we do stick to a schedule, whether we're working 9 to 5 or whether we're retired, to have daily things within our schedule that we stick to, because it will actually lead us at the end of the day to feel more productive and successful by having routine. Now, if you are like me, working mostly from the computer now or mostly from home, then it's also important that you chunk your day into 2-hour increments. And at the end of each 2 hours, take a physical break from the computer. Literally step away from the computer, even if you can move rooms. And engage a different part of your brain, nothing blue screen related. So read from a novel, listen to some music, take a little nap. Best thing you can possibly do is a little exercise or stretching during that 10 minutes. And we're going to talk about why that's so important here next. But people, again, who take these actual breaks every 2 hours find that at the end of the day, they have been more productive and gotten more done than people who just plow through their days without breaks. Now, routine also means that you take care of yourself outside of work. And the more stressed we are, the faster we become dehydrated and physically ill. So make sure that when you're thinking about your schedule, that you're also scheduling in hydration, nutrition, and exercise. Now, it's important that you actually write down your goals for each day. I write them down on a 3x5 card. I stick them to my computer, and here's why. A written goal is better than a conceptualized goal. It actually makes you more accountable to the goal and increases your likelihood of attaining that goal. So I always write down what my hydration goal is, and I'm nowhere near attaining it at this point. So today it's 72 ounces of water. It's important that you get at least 64 ounces of water per day because you can become dehydrated when under stress. So make sure you're getting 64 ounces of water every day. I write down what my nutrition goal is, what my exercise goal is, and what a Rotary and work-related goal for the day. So this is important to me because if I don't have it written down, I probably am not going to do the things I hope to do. So try this. 3x5 cards are great. Stickies work just as well, Post-it notes, but I love the 3x5 card. All right, so let's shift now and talk a little bit about the neurochemistry of mood. There are 3 chemicals that are mostly responsible for how we feel our happiness. They are serotonin, oxytocin, and dopamine. Now, I mentioned exercise earlier. So the more you exercise throughout the day, the more serotonin is produced in your brain. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter, and it is best produced through exercise, even light exercise. So imagine if every 2 hours you're getting a 10-minute burst of exercise or stretching. That actually is stimulating serotonin production in your brain and can help to elevate your mood. Oxytocin is one that I like to call the hug drug, and that's because it is best released when we are intimate with someone. And I do mean intimate, if you know what I mean. But it also gets released when we hug and when we kiss and when we're happy. So the more we can squeeze somebody and get a good hug in every day, even if you don't have a person to hug, if you just hug your dog or a stuffed animal or a pillow, even that simulates the intimate process, and your body will begin to release oxytocin. So the third one is dopamine. And again, this is a neurotransmitter in the brain. And there are a couple of things that you can actually do to encourage the stimulation and production of dopamine in your brain. The first one is gratitude. So when we contemplate or reflect on things that we're grateful for, our brains begin to stimulate dopamine. Now, to get that to be a bigger burst of dopamine, it's even better if you give the gratitude away. And by that, I mean, tell someone why you're grateful for them. When we tell others why we're grateful for them, we are not only stimulating dopamine in ourselves, but we're stimulating it in someone else. And that is in itself an act of service. And so you'll notice when we're doing service, you get that really good feeling, right? It makes you feel good. That's dopamine release. So the gratitude and doing nice things for others helps to stimulate and produce dopamine in our brains. Now, another thing you can do to improve your dopamine production is by doing this one physical thing. And I want us all to actually do it together. So if those of you who are on the screen, move in a little closer so we can see your faces. A little bit closer. Come on, there we go. That's better. All right, I want you to mimic what I do for about 5 seconds on my count of 3, okay? It's a facial expression. 1, 2, 3, go. There we go, nice smiles. That's good. 2 more seconds. All right, good. So did you know that your brain has no idea whether a smile is faked, forced, or real? It's true, your brain has no idea. It just feels the muscles go up and it says, oh, she's smiling, let's start producing dopamine. And your brain does, just automatically starts producing dopamine. So when we smile, we get a dopamine burst. I even do smiling exercises with my depressed patients when they come into my office to begin to create new neural pathways simulated and stimulated with dopamine. So anytime you're feeling blah, go to the mirror and smile at yourself. You're going to feel really weird when you do it, but trust me, your brain will go, oh, he or she is smiling, and it'll begin to produce a little dopamine for you. Now, again, smiling is a lot like a yawn. What happens when you see someone yawn? You yawn, right? It's contagious. The smile is actually contagious too. It's really hard not to smile back at someone who's smiling at you. So again, act of service, take off your pesky little mask occasionally and smile at someone, and watch how hard it is for them not to smile back at you. And again, you're getting that dopamine stimulation, and you're giving it to someone else because now they're smiling. Another little act of service. Now, of course, these chemicals are wonderful, but they do have enemies, kryptonite, so to speak. And probably the biggest kryptonite to dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin is anxiety. Now, anxiety is a feeling, yes, but it's also a physiological reaction. And in order for us to have a physiological anxious moment, your body and your brain actually needs time to ruminate. It needs time for anxiety to fester. So anxiety does best when you are off into the future or when you're in your past. So the future would be you're doing this what if thinking. What if I get COVID-19? What if I lose my job? What if this goes on through winter? What if, what if, what if? When you're what ifing, you're ruminating, and anxiety thrives on ruminations. Now, it also, like I said, does pretty good in the past. That would be your would've, could've, should've thinking. When you're beating yourself up, anxiety loves that as well. But anxiety has a really hard time causing a physiological worry reaction when you're just present, when you're right here in the here and now, and you're mindfully present in your life. But that state of mind is not always easy, and it's very easy to fall out of mindfulness. So when you do catch yourself worrying or feeling anxious, there's some things that you can do to turn off your anxious system. Now, I say a system because it is neurological. Here's how it works. In the back of your brain, in the left and the right hemisphere, you have these two little almond-shaped things called the amygdala. And when you worry or when you start to feel anxious or get anxious, your amygdalas light up, and they send a signal to your hypothalamus, which then turns on all of that autonomic nervous system response. Your adrenaline glands kick on, you start to sweat, you get butterflies in your stomach. All of that physiological thing that we notice that we call anxiety. That's an actual neurological process. So when that happens and you catch yourself feeling that, there are a couple things that you can do to actually turn off the amygdalas and shut down the anxiety. So the first is with deep breathing exercises. And there are a lot of different deep breathing exercises, but I'm going to demonstrate to you the ones that I use, the one that I use with my patients. So the thing you need to know about a deep breathing exercise is that you have to inhale through your nose. Then you hold your breath for a couple of seconds, and then you exhale through your mouth. And I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate how it should look, because the inhale and the exhale should be really slow. Okay, so here's how it should look and how long it should be. I'm pretty good at it because I do it every day. So mine's a little long, but here we go. Inhaling. Holding. And exhale. And I check in with my body. There it is. It happens so fast for me. I have this little physiological feeling that just goes, and it's from the deep breath that's turning everything off out here and allowing my frontal lobe to light up. And it causes a sense of relaxation. Now, I encourage my patients to do 3 rounds, 3 repetitions. It's important that you do this seated in a chair or on the couch because you can get a little lightheaded. If 3 is too much, take it down to 2. But remember, it's inhale, hold, exhale through your mouth. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth, slow as possible. And again, 3 reps usually does the trick, and the amygdalas turn themselves off. And I said check in with your body because you do get a biological feedback. You can start to feel when your body responds, and you can start to pick up on what that is for you. Everybody's different, but see if you can catch that. Now, the second thing you can do, if the deep breathing is not working for you, the second thing is called bilateral sound therapy. And I'm going to give you a link for it here in a minute because you can just download this yourself and do it from home. It's a treatment that I'm using with almost every single one of my patients. It's wonderful for anxiety, depression, sleep problems, frustration and anger, irritability. I even use it when I'm doing lots of paperwork. So here's how it works. You're going to put in your earbuds, a headset, something over your ears, and you're going to listen to a very engineered type of music or nature sound. And as you do that, you close your eyes and you listen to the sounds, and you'll notice that you hear it in one ear and then the next, and then this ear and then the next. It's not coming simultaneously. And as you're listening, right and left, your eyes behind your closed lids will begin to track that sound left to right. You may even feel it in a pattern. And as the eye movement and the ears are following the sound, a very particular type of brainwave occurs that crosses over the top of the brain, crossing that midline section of the 2 hemispheres. And it's that particular brainwave that turns off the amygdala. It's like the 2 cannot work together, and the sound always wins. Now, I told you I do this when I'm doing paperwork, so you can do it with your eyes open too, but it is most powerful when you're able to close your eyes and have your eyes tracking the music. Now, I have a favorite resource for this. It's the person I use with my patients. I'm going to share my screen here, and his name is David Grand. He's one of the founding fathers of this type of therapy. And he actually calls it biolateral, but most people just call it bilateral. You can get this for free on YouTube. You can get it on iTunes and Spotify. This happens to be in Amazon, where you can order the disc if you prefer discs. If you go to his website, he'll charge you 3 times this much for all of his CDs. But I just think his product is the best. I really find it powerful. David Grand, Biolateral Sound Healing, Brain Spotting is the album I like the most, but I have several of his and they're all great. Give this a try after this session. Again, you can get it right for free on YouTube. No need to purchase anything. I'm not affiliated with the man, but I'm sure he's trying to figure out why everyone has gone to purchasing his things now, because I talk about him so much. So Brain Spotting, bilateral sound is just incredibly powerful for turning anxiety centers completely off. All right, last but not least, I want to talk to you about decision making, because so much of what's happening now in our world is outside of our control. But how we handle what is happening in the world, that, my friends, is within our control. Early on in this pandemic, I had to make a decision. Was I going to come out of this a better person, a better Rotarian, a better psychologist, a better neighbor, or was I going to fail to use this time at all? What were my personal goals going to be so that when I came out of this pandemic, I'd be different, but for the better? I had to think about that consciously, because that is within my control. Early on in the pandemic, first 45 days, everyone sort of froze. We didn't know what to do. People went off their diets and started baking bread like crazy. That was all over Facebook. Netflix blew up. Everybody was watching Netflix. The bandwidth was crazy. Look at Zoom. Look at how Zoom has changed us. But as Bob said earlier today, we have adapted. And this is our new Rotary world for now. And I think this is going to become part of our Rotary world forever. I think the hybrid meeting will allow members to connect. We will have adapted. The question for you becomes, will I have adapted for the better? Will I be a better neighbor? Will I be a better Rotarian? Never in my life did I think I'd be doing vocational talks all over the world. This is number 115 of these talks that I've given on COVID and staying sane during COVID. What an opportunity this is opened for me to be able to share my vocation with so many people around the world through Rotary. So am I a better person for this? Absolutely. Have I set goals? Absolutely. Have I gotten back on my fitness train? Absolutely. You know, there are things that I have taken back into my grips and said, those things are within my control. So will you be different? Sure. We're all going to be different here, maybe even in the next week after the election. But how we're going to be different really is up to us. That is within your control. All right, so I'd love to open it up for questions. I will have to jump off the meeting at about 5 till because I do have a patient. But I'd love to take a few minutes of questions if anybody has some.
Thanks, Mary. And while we're waiting on questions, I took notes. I'm just going to summarize this. Turn off the TV. Actually, I can check that off. Actually, my wife and I started turning off news over the weekend. I like that. Step away from the computer. That is outstanding, and take a 2-hour break. Right?
2-hour break.
No, that wasn't it. Just every 2 hours, take a break. Oh, yeah. I'll go back to my office and tell my boss that I had a speaker that says I should take a 2-hour break. I like that one. Write down your goals daily. I do write down my goals, but daily, I'll have to work on that. Get in a good hug. Yes, I'll give my wife a hug tonight. Smile. That's challenging to do with a mask on. I like the deep breathing, and many things are out of our control and adaptation. So that was wonderful. We're going to just see if we've got any chats coming in or any questions from. We have a physical audience here today in front of me, and then we have a virtual audience. So I'm just going to take a minute and see if we have any questions. So no chat questions, but I'm sure Mark Drips has a question. I'm putting Mark on the spot.
Colin, let's see your smile.
See my smile.
All right. No, I very much enjoyed your presentation. I can use a lot of it at work. I have found myself sitting in front of the computer too much, looking at the news. And like you said, it's hard to not do that. And getting up and physically moving is easy to do, but I can't draw myself away from it. There's just too much there. How do I really get myself away?
And I'm just going to read that back because some of our virtual audience may not have heard all that, but Mark is agreeing with everything you said. But I think he's saying, how does he pull himself away to get that break?
Sure. I think a lot of people have trouble stepping away from the computer. They are sort of sucked into the news media right now and feel almost addicted to it, like they can't step away. So if you have that problem, Mark, I want you to schedule it into your schedule. I want you to allow for it, but I want you to put it into your schedule. So maybe you start your day with it and you give yourself 15 minutes. Everybody needs, limit setting. 15 minutes maybe at breakfast, and then around noon during your lunch, and then at the end of your day, somewhere in there, maybe 3 times max. But schedule it in versus it just being random, because you're probably losing a lot of, just focus, just having it on your computer. And getting away from your computer will help, but schedule it in.
Thank you.
So I have a question. Do you have any different recommendations for children?
No, actually, I don't. For children, it's the same thing. Do I have different recommendations for children? No. These kids love the deep breathing. They love yoga, we're finding. They absolutely thrive on schedules. Having them come up with their own goals is wonderful and help them stay focused. And fewer goals for kids, of course. But the bilateral sound works just as well for kids.
Steve.
Yeah, you mentioned about writing your goals down, whether it's daily or just the importance of writing the goals. And I think that has an ability to keep yourself accountable, which I agree with. Are there any other ways that you might suggest to keep accountability?
Absolutely. Accountability is so important. I would imagine a couple of you follow me on Facebook. That's probably how you found me. And if you'll notice, I'm very sort of transparent with my goals on Facebook. So one of the best things you can do is to have a public accountability to some goal that you're trying to reach, or a support group. It might be a small group of people on Facebook, or that you email or at work, but tell people what your goals are and check in with them weekly or monthly, and kind of have an update to do a check-in. Mine are often fitness goals. I've decided that I'm going to be strong as I age. So like this month, I'm trying to do a pull-up, of all things. I have installed a pull-up bar in my garage, and I'm this close, and I couldn't even, get past here a month ago. So, but I tell everybody about that. I put it on Facebook. I have a group at work that, we're always comparing and seeing what we're doing, and we're checking in. We look at each other and we say, got your water? Things like that. So really having a support team is good. So sharing your goals is just as important and cathartic as writing them down.
We have a question from the audience. How about differences between men and women?
Oh my gosh. Well, that's a whole nother topic. I actually do a talk on that, the biological differences of men and women. It's a fun one. And I actually can come back someday and talk about that, and especially in relation to the history of women in Rotary. But yeah, there are some actual neurological and biological differences. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. That is true. And a lot of it has to do with neural pathways and how our brains are different. But the tips that I've given you here today are pretty gender neutral.
Thank you. I don't see any other questions. You said you had to go at about 5 minutes to 1.
I
Right
do,
at that,
so I'll jump off, but thank
Yep.
you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Mary.
Bye, you guys.
She may have jumped off, but I will thank her anyway. In honor of her name, we will make a contribution to either the Boys and Girls Club, Critical Career, First Steps, the Jeremiah Program, or the Rochester Public Library. Before I leave today, a couple of things. One, in the moccasin flower that came out by email maybe a day or so ago, there's something in here called Braver Angels. And it's actually tonight from 7 to 8:30. The goal of Braver Angels effort is to reduce the divisiveness and personal animosity that might arise, not with Rotarians, that might arise regardless of who wins the presidential election. So the link to that, again, moccasin flower. And I was reading a newspaper this weekend, and there was a pledge in here, and I just want to end by reading this. It says, with malice towards none. And I believe Abraham Lincoln used that quote, with malice towards none. Regardless of how the election turns out, I will not hold hate, disdain, or ridicule for those who voted differently than me. Whether I am pleased or upset about the outcome, I will seek to understand the concerns and aspirations of those who voted differently, and will look for opportunities to work with people with whom I disagree. And I thought how appropriate that is with our Rotarian four-way pledge when we come in every day. So keep that in mind in the next week. With that, I adjourn. And remember, Rotary opens opportunities. Thank you so much for coming.